All right, BattleTech enthusiasts, or should I say soon-to-be BattleTech enthusiasts, I wanted to push this up into my archives as a starting point into the awesome narrative, into the awesome hobby that is BattleTech, also building on a couple of comments asking, summarizing Fritz, where do we get started with BattleTech? Now, as of this podcast, we're in an interesting place in that Catalyst is releasing a number of starter sets and some new content, some new sculpts, some new hex maps, an updated rulebook, everything pushing that out to BattleTech. It is supposed to arrive sometime in the next 6 months or so. So there's the question of waiting for those, or if you're coming to this podcast a little bit later, having those available. But in the meantime, and as a supplement, I thought it would be helpful to break down the constituent parts of BattleTech to kind of figure out what you need, what direction you want to go in. So first we have the rules. We have a very kind of simplified rule set that's available off the Catalyst site. And then this involves mechs and the rules of shooting and moving and physical combat and the different weapon profiles. Then we have the Total Warfare book. This involves now using infantry, using air support, artillery, off-table support, vehicles, mech customization, different ways of running missions. So kind of the rules taken to the extreme level. And the great thing about BattleTech is that you can have the game as simple as you want, as complex as you want, so you can tweak it based on your preference, or you can even tweak it based on time with how you want to play, where you want to play. So at the very least, to get started, downloading that core rule set off of the website. Now we need some mechs. We need some machines of destruction to make things blow up. And the two kind of trains of thought here are cardboard stand-ups or cutouts. Again, I think the template is available on the Catalyst site. You can download them, you can fold them, you can print them out in color. It's an easy way to get started with BattleTech, and for many years that was the only way to play BattleTech. And then there's getting involved in the miniatures, which in my opinion is the direction that ultimately we want to go with BattleTech, because we have an amazing narrative. If I have my lance of mechs, you have your lance of mechs. We've painted them up. We have some amazing terrain. We have some great background music. I mean, that is a memorable experience. So eventually you're going to want to transition into miniatures. The starter set will have them. They make plastic lance packs. Ironwind Metals puts out a number of metal miniatures, fantastic details from the different eras of BattleTech. This is where things get a little crazy, because you're thrust into the game and it's like, okay, there are literally hundreds of mechs. What's good? What's not good? What do I buy? Where do we go? There are supplemental books called technical readouts, and they stack by year. BattleTech is a progressive game. The narrative is evolving. So you have this fall of the Star League, where mechs were invented and they dominated the combat on the table, moving into the inner sphere, moving into the clans, moving into the jihad, moving into the dark age. So these technical manuals with the year reflect the current year level of technology on there. By taking a look at these manuals, you're going to get a nice write-up of the mechs. You're going to get an idea of their weapon profiles. You're going to get an idea of how they operate. Besides being a cool narrative to read, they help in selecting the machines. There's also online the BattleTech Wiki that has much of the similar information that's out there. That's a bigger scope, but that's going to kind of push you in the direction of what mechs you want to acquire. And the great thing about BattleTech is if you move into collecting the physical metal miniatures, they're about $7 to $10 a mech. 4, 5, 6 mechs, a couple of stands of infantry, a vehicle, and a vehicle or two, you can go for a very, very, very long time. Compared to something like X-Wing miniatures, or certainly Warhammer 40,000, or even something like Historicals, Chain of Command, and other historical games, the price of entry into BattleTech is very, very low. That said, this is the disclaimer. I've done my part. It is addictive. The mechs are amazing to play. They're amazing to collect. Your collection is going to naturally grow over time, but there's always room to kind of expand. Now we need something to play the mechs on. Traditionally, BattleTech is played in one of two ways. on a hex map or a freestanding wargaming table. Hex maps are great because they are pre-printed out with all the terrain, with all where the mechs can move when you shoot, judging ranges. You don't have to measure. You can just count hexes. You can see the facings of the mechs. It speeds the game up tremendously. It makes it kind of a board game. On the opposite end, we have a traditional wargaming table where trees are 3D, rubble is 3D, buildings are 3D, we have smoke effects. It turns it into a kind of a Little Wars tabletop battlefield. The challenge here, of course, is you have to make it, and the game requires a little bit more in terms of conversion of facing and conversion of range because you're measuring with the tape and stuff. Your choice of two. I would recommend starting with the hex maps because these you can download all over the internet, print them out, tape them, connect 4 or 5. You could assemble yourself a nice little BattleTech starter set, just print and play. You could learn the rules, you could figure out your mechs, then you can graduate to the box sets when they're released. That'll give you more supplies, that'll give you some amazing miniature mechs to paint and play, and then from there you could jump full in with the mechs. A good medium with the hex maps is printing out the hex maps or using the traditional cardboard hex maps and then making little counters. I find this is a great medium on poker chips or something like that, or just kind of a round blank, metal blank. Put some rubble, put some trees, put some water effects, and where the hexes have these, physically laying them on top of it. That's the best of both worlds. Now you have kind of a 3D map, and yet at the same time, now you have something that is easy to set up and measure and have range. Which is better? Both. Start with the hex maps, learn the game, and then slowly, as time and taste permits, upgrade. Traditionally, I play on a wargaming table. It's part of my background is playing other games on a traditional wargaming table. I've had a couple of years to really outfit my table and my mechs and have that ready to go. That said, there are times when I utilize hex maps simply because we don't have as much time to play a traditional war game version of it, or time is short, space is short. Sometimes at the club, literally, I just have like a little card table. And once you start putting out the sheets and the rules and your dice and stuff, you don't have that traditional table. So there's ways to move back and forth, up and down with all of that. That would be my recommendation in approaching the BattleTech universe and getting started in this awesome, awesome game.